Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, friends. Good news. It's time for some Saturday morning React-toons. So grab your sugary cereal, get a cup of hot coffee or tea, some hot cocoa, whatever makes your morning work, my friends, because we're watching Robotech, episode 72, The Fortress. And friends, now that you have your goodies to sit and relax by, nothing to it but to do it. If you could do me a quick favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel and it allows me to alert you next time it's time to take to the virtual couch and watch some good old cartoons. And friends, if there's anything that we do that you would like early, Robotech included, or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. Not a fan of Patreon? Stick with us here on YouTube memberships. You'll get all of our episodes about a day early, plus any bonus episodes we come up with. But my dear friends, all that is then, and this is now, and now it's time to turn back the clock on the nostalgia machine, my friends, as we take to a good old Saturday morning for some Saturday morning React-toons with Robotech, episode 72, The Fortress. Prepare to engage maximum warp reaction. And away we go! Fanfare, or not to fanfare? That is the question. Oh, give it a shot. Try anything. I'll make a fool out of myself at least once. Cut to 72 fanfares later. Found myself really thinking about last episode, the secret route. That one was really probably the most mature one we've had so far, and I think it's the one that stuck with me the most. That one and the wolf one. That one was really good. Eulogy. Those were really good. And I'd like to see some more of that, you know. Those were weighty. I thought our characters did a really good job with the areas. I like little ones like Genesis Pit too. I like the exploration that we see in those types of ones, you know, the discovery of these things the Invid are doing. It's good. I mean, the show's great. And again, amazing. 3 different properties woven together to tell a very good tale. Great stuff. Let's see what they have for us.
The Robotech defenders decided that the only way past this mountain was through an Invid stronghold.
That's an old outpost of our mountain offense squad
Really?
from the war against the Robotech masters.
Oh my God, I love it.
It lies between us and Reflex Point, so we're gonna have to take it out. Now, I don't need to tell you it's not gonna be easy.
A raid?
Well, Lancer, what did you find out?
At 6:30 every morning, most of the scout ships and shock troopers go out on patrol. That would seem to me to be the best time to make our move, whatever our move is.
Why don't we just waltz in and raid the Invid's refrigerator while we're at it?
Yeah, you know what protoculture tastes like? I may be hungry, but I'm sure not that hungry.
You tried it? Well, if the Invid didn't know we were there now.
We're not gonna get our alphas anywhere near that fortress unless one of us can get inside and knock out their protoculture sensors.
Ooh, I like the idea.
Able to ski right through their patrols and into the fortress?
I don't know, it just might work. After all, the Invid will be expecting an attack from Robotech Mecha.
If they don't see it coming, too.
Well, little mint, I'm afraid I cut the skis for a certain person who's a little older and taller than you.
Huh?
In particular, someone with blue eyes and long blonde hair and a team spirit.
A team spirit. I love it.
What's wrong, Marlene?
It's funny how closely this is going, I'm assuming this is going to start resembling like the Zor.
It seems like the worst is over.
Whatever it was, she sure got it bad.
A knowing spy, maybe.
By the time you get there, most of them should be out on patrol. You set?
Mm-hmm. We're ready. Don't miss our signal.
I'll keep an eye out. That is, if I'm not sidetracked by anything.
Well, thanks for sort of looking out, Scott.
Be careful, okay?
Hey, Ran, not so fast. Wait for me.
Meanwhile, Annie's going in. Rook.
Yeah, love it. I'm gonna see how fast I can go, okay?
I've never skied before, though. How do you turn?
Hey, knock it off, you little hot dog! I ought to strangle you! Huh?
She's dropping stuff. Oh, they saw that?
Oh my gosh, get down! One of our bombs is in your bikini!
But I might want to go swimming later.
What? See ya. Now it's going to explode and have an avalanche.
Now I can go swimming after all.
Okay, so the question is, did they see the bombs because they had protoculture in them? Maybe that was it. Because it seemed to be picking that up specifically. Just so happened to be in Annie's bikini. I handed it to Annie. This is out of her skill set, presumably. Welp. Yeah. I'm really wondering if they can see when someone doesn't have protoculture present, or if they even care to look if there's no protoculture.
This place gives me the creeps.
You can say that again. All it's missing are some vampire bats. Huh? Hey, let go. What's the matter with you?
She's scared. She just said she was scared.
All outlying units, report to transmutation chamber immediately.
Those are the units that we've seen, and someone reminded me we did see those in Sentinels too.
Look! Open sesame!
Huh?
Now watch them come in here and see like a Marlene being cooked or something.
Do you think they're all asleep or something?
You got me, but if they are asleep, maybe we can create a diversion by waking them up.
You think we should?
Why would we want to wake them up?
9X19 has been selected for transmutation. Retrieve a scout pod and transfer it to Hive Center.
Wow.
Transmutation. Is this part of the evolutionary thing they're working on? It's a very interesting premise. I like what they're doing.
Activate canopy and insert drone 9X19.
What is that? A drone, but...
Transmutation completed. Prepare next scout trooper for programming.
It looked like something inside the pod that they called the drone. Or whatever that thing was they added.
The time has now come to put contingency plan B into operation.
I sure hope Scott hasn't fallen asleep on the job.
Well, he said that he may or may not come and help you.
Just as I figured. They need a decoy. Okay, Rook, you better get moving.
Well, wish me luck, everyone.
Oh, good luck. Thanks for not going in there and helping.
Unidentified intrusions registered.
Woo!
Come on, I'll race you to the mountaintop.
They might win.
Culture sensors indicate bioenergetic activity.
We have got to knock that shit out for good.
Intercept and neutralize.
Well, they're still going to pick up on the... Unless she turned it off, didn't she? I was wondering what that start trigger was. I'm keeping up, kind of.
But don't you think it knows we're here?
Annie, if
It
that
can
thing
think
knows
whatever it
we're here,
wants.
the two of us are in big trouble.
Why don't we shoot it like 3 or 4 times? Let's hide behind the smallest of these membrane fibers.
Ah, this should do the trick. A cobalt limpet mine.
Maybe let's stick it in the brain.
Talk about dumb. 1 minute enough?
I hope so. Let's go.
Is there a reason why we got to cut it this close? How about 5 and then we just hang out for 4 minutes?
Disturbance in Hive Center.
Huh? Typical.
Intruders.
I blame Rook for everything that's happening right now.
These goons won't know what hit them in just a few seconds.
Well, neither will we when a cobalt limpet mine goes off.
Isn't that a beautiful sight?
Is it the same thing as last time?
She's screaming at me.
Meanwhile, Marlene's got brain matter running out of her ears.
Moving. They might be needing our help.
Believe it.
Alpha fighters.
It's gonna
Okay.
eat me.
Eat this.
You certainly can't shoot it all, Rand. Annie was possessed in the Genesis pit, so I'm wondering if she's susceptible to that, or there's still a link. Ugh. Well, stop yelling.
Check the emergency tracking beam. Is it flashing?
I think so. Yes.
Don't worry, they'll be there eventually. Took her leg off. That's awesome.
Hold on tight, Marlene.
Yeah, Long doesn't have his gun either. I thought he got that gun.
Come on, Scott. The suspense is killing me.
Let him rip.
right, we're going in.
Wait a minute. Over there. Give me a hand here.
That's a hell of a good job.
How about Annie?
She says she just needs to brush her teeth.
I've had it. I'm gonna slaughter those animated trash compactors.
All right, I like the way you think.
What is it? Some kind of incubator?
Whatever it is, it's history.
Well, see, on the flip, everybody, if we haven't figured out she's like attached to these things, this is a good tell.
That Invid patrol that left this morning is on its way back to the hive.
Great. I knew it. We took too long. Okay, everybody, let's get out of here.
Right.
Move it.
Yes, keep pushing through.
Well, I'm the one who got us into all this.
Well, now that you mention it, that is true.
So it's up to me to take some of the heat off. See you back at the ranch.
All right, Scott, let's see what you got if you're going up against an entire patrol.
As the Robotech defenders scramble
Dude.
to leave the Invid hive, the patrol of returning Invid personnel carriers converges on the fortress.
That's a lot. I was going to say, you're going to get one shot before they realize that there's trouble. That's some good flying.
Nice trip, fellas.
We can't fly. Shoot that.
The central power core for the fortress.
Shoot that.
The party's just beginning. That looks interesting.
Light it up, man.
I've got to blow that panel. With any luck, I can kill two birds with one stone.
One great big stone.
Control matrix breached. Reflex furnace overload.
God, fly, Scott, fly. You don't know what the yield is going to be on this.
Lucky for us, they left the back door open.
But not for long. Hurry!
Reshoot.
Another dead end and I'm a dead duck.
Well, let's hope you don't have one of those.
Fireball on my tail. I can't even think about turning around and going back the way I came.
Shoot through it if something gets in your way.
It's make it or break it time.
Oh, from the legs. Woo! Nice. Came out and just stood right upright. Scott's surprised by his own not being dead. Let's see what this does to them. Like, are these guys just going to drop out of the air? I don't think they would, but I'm curious to see what happens when they don't have any direction. And Annie without her bikini.
She'll open up when she's ready.
Marlene, come in and swim. The water's great. All right.
What do you think it means that she screams every time we shoot an invid?
Marlene, stop that! Are you trying to give me a heart attack?
Marlene does not have a big bikini, everybody. All right, friends, we just finished watching Robotech, episode 72, The Fortress, and the only thing left to do is talk about it. All right, everyone, we just finished the 72nd episode of Robotech, The Fortress. 72 episodes, crazy, especially since it's still as good as it is. I thought this one was, they've hit, they're playing in a pocket now that I'm really, really enjoying. These last couple episodes have been right where, I mean, perfect stuff. Eulogy, Genesis Pit, Secret Route, this one, really, really good stuff. This is exactly what I wanted from this group. You know, we've kind of made our way through the introductions. We had a few kind of like the meandering episodes. The only one I didn't really care for was the one about, you know, Lunk getting the book back to the town, but the rest of them have been really good, if not stellar. And the past couple, I think, for my money, have been, I mean, the best, the absolute best of this arc so far, because it encapsulates exactly what we wanted from a non-military guerrilla unit that we have under Scott, but also it folds in the military objectives that we, you know, not necessarily been lacking, but we haven't had a chance to experience yet. You know, with the Secret Route, there is a way that we have to get through this mountain range to avoid detection by the superior forces and their scouting parties. This one, a culmination of, or kind of like a bleed from that one into our, now we found out the only like the way to get completely through is to cut through this old fortress that they repurposed from the Robotech Masters War. That's cool stuff. Anytime they get to fold back in like items from the old war, and that one scene where they were taken and where we met Annie, and they were taken to like the separate island, and like they talked about how there was damaged vehicles and Veritex and hover tanks inside, and of course we didn't see any of those types of mecha because different properties. It was still assumed that that was there, and I thought that was just a really cool touch. It really kind of adds to the fact that we're building off of prior episodes, arcs, and worlds, really, because you can really look at it that these, the world of Macross is much different than the world that we had in Masters, which is much different than the world that we have in New Generation, and the idea that it's all the same world is one thing, but it's just such an evolution that even with the different properties, they do so well to convey that. Now, what I liked about this episode, beyond just the actual kind of premise of it, the kind of a military objective, it was a raid, it reminded me of like Force 10 from Navarone, that type of stuff where we've got to get in, blow something up, make them blind so they can't see the protoculture sensors. We need a permanent fix for that. We need some type of jammer. We need some type of like way to coat the protoculture or the cyclones and the alpha fighters so they don't pop up, the guns, everything. That's too much of a detriment. I mean, we're already behind the 8 ball with as far as the odds stacked against us and everything. We don't need to also be able to be immediately identified from like distance, like protoculture there, where 150 miles that way. We don't need any of that stuff. We need to be able to make sure that, any type of chance that we have to get a leg up or get some type of advantage over them must be something that we can do. Now, again, I like the idea that they haven't been able to figure any of that stuff out because none of them are scientists. None of them are like engineers. None of them are like, Lunk's probably our closest, but he's a mech. I mean, he's I don't mean that dismissively at all. I mean that he's a completely separate type of, he's not like research and development. He's, repairs the Veritex and the alphas and everything as they get damaged. So he could potentially come up with something, but it's certainly not like his default or his wheelhouse. Now, again, maybe it is, maybe, we just haven't seen that from Lunk yet. And he would be the most logical person to come up with some type of shield. Like, I remember when I was working on these things before, whenever we, wanted to do something with the protoculture, we used such and such a material, that could easily be some type of explanation that we get in the future that would kind of fold Lunk into that type of role. Utter, obviously, speculation, but that's something that I really wish they would be able to address. Now, the Marlene kind of dropping in, I made the mention that it's very similar to Zor. You find this person, and again, it's way more complicated on Zor's side as far as the details are concerned. But in this, you got a very similar thing. You got somebody in Marlene, like Zor, who doesn't know that they're kind of potentially could betray the party. And Marlene seems to be okay, seems to not have nefarious designs, seems to be, as she appears, like an amnesiac that doesn't remember any of these things, obviously not knowing that she's a simul agent or whatever I forget what they call those, simulagents, or is either simulation or simultaneous, simulagent, I think is what they called her. But she seems to be working, and I wonder if Marlene, the one thing I don't get about the Marlene character and like the plan that the Regis, I guess, had in place to send in, infiltrate this unit or have this unit infiltrate is that it doesn't seem to be, Marlene doesn't seem to be giving away their position. You know what I mean? Like there's not something in her that's alerting them as to what they're doing. So I'm curious to see where does her treachery kind of like express itself. I do like the idea too, even though it's sort of morbid, that Scott and kind of went along with the name of Marlene, because one, it gives our new Marlene the benefit of the doubt. Like, he's not going to just readily be like, I don't trust you, or it's going to be able to have Scott, who is our most military-minded person, have him start to fold in and be more accepting of her just because of the name that she's been given. And I think that's a good idea because, again, it speaks of a realism, it's hearing the name Marlene, he's immediately sympathetic to that. So, if she does come up with something in the future or does betray them in the future, one, it's, realistic that she made it that far. You know, they just think she's a refugee. And two, it's going to hit Scott super hard because he's going to feel that as a personal betrayal. He shouldn't, but if they portray it, you know, the way they seem to have been portraying it so far, he's definitely going to feel that, you know, more so than the others, I guess, with the betrayal, if it even manifests. And again, something tells me too that this could be something that manifests, but ultimately Marlene's able to kind of like shake free of. We've seen things like that before in, you know, in Zor and Octavia, a couple of those things, you know, where people have been kind of crossed over, and Miria even, I mean, even though she wasn't really like, she had a doctrine that she believed in for the Zentradi that sort of needed to be kind of like circumvented, and Marlene could be just another one of those tropes, again, which I think is so incredible that we have very similar events happening in these three separate properties that make them seem so similar. Like, oh, that's something that happened with Zor, or, you know, add in somebody else, you know, oh, that's another, and, you know, it's just a great example of how Masick and Harmony Gold and everybody were able to get these things and put them in the right order too. That's the big thing. You know, I always think to myself, in honesty, you could have probably gotten away with making Masters first and then Macross, and then I don't think you could put New Generation first and then New Generation, you know what I mean? But they picked the right way to kind of deliver these three different properties to make them as realistic as possible. And it's just a really cool exploration. So anytime we get into an episode like this, and like I said, these last four have been bangers for New Generation. I always try, then once I'm like, I guess like I'm happy with the state of the arc that we're in. I draw back and look at the, you know, the arcs that they kind of touch, and then the entire series as a whole. And man, so far it holds up across each level of scrutiny that we've put them on. Incredible stuff, my friends. And again, a tip of the cap, you know, a 40-year removed tip of the cap to everybody involved with doing this, and the original creators of the original properties, for which we would never have Robotech and never be able to experience these characters in any form they ultimately made it to North America. You know, the creators across the board for this entire thing were absolutely fantastic, and really, you know, the design of a story that could then be both molded and standalone is very impressive to me, and everybody did just that. All right, everybody, if you could do me a favor, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. It greatly helps out a small channel, and it allows me to alert you next time it's time for some Saturday morning React-toons. And of course, if there's anything that we do that you would like early or in its full-length format, the link to our Patreon is in the description. But my dear friends, all that is then, this is now, and now it's time to say goodbye. So where should we say goodbye from? Well, friends, we got to strike while the iron's hot here. And anytime we have a moment of peace, and anytime we have a moment of hope, and anytime we have a moment of camaraderie where the resistance members of these freedom fighters fighting under Scott Bernard are allowed to be human, you know, present company excluded, I guess, for Marlene, not knowing exactly what she is, but it's in those moments of humanity where we need to really be with our friends here and see that they experience, and, you know, the very marrow of life, because God knows when they'll have another moment like this, or if they'll all be there. So friends, we say goodbye from the watering hole as they all take a swim, some with bikinis, some without, but it doesn't matter because each and every one of them has a moment to relax, bask in their camaraderie, and then turn their attention to Reflex Point. Friends, until we take another step towards our goal, Vulcan roll, and I'll see you.